Hi, you're listening to Bold Works, the space where women connect, share stories, laugh, and tell the messy truth about careers. We are here to figure out how to survive the chaos of work without pretending it's all fine. Spoiler, it's not, but together it works. Hey, welcome to Bold Works. My name is Fernanda. Today's episode it's gonna be about how to navigate when your profession is new in the field. Let me elaborate a bit more so I can give proper context. Nowadays, in this era, everything is being created. There are new roles, new positions, new technologies, new career paths, but we are all not prepared for that. We are usually more learning while doing and defining different ways on doing things and while executing. So, if that's the case for your profession and if you are doing something that's new, not just for you, but for people around you and for the industry itself, how do you navigate those new roles? How do you build and gain credibility? How do you explain to people around you, not just your close friends, families, but also to your stakeholders, to your new boss, to your manager? Um, that's going to be this topic about. I invited someone quite special. Her name is Shirley Lee, and she is into experimentation, into CRO. I know that these topics or these terms are not common for everyone, but I will ask her in detail what is she doing, so we can all get a bit more of a context of her specific profession. But let's see how Shirley was able to be part of a new role and how she was able to also stick to the plan, because at the end it's about knowing what resonates with you and figuring out how to get to your own goal, and considering everything that surrounds you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this topic resonates not maybe with you directly, but with people around you, with women around you. Mm, Please subscribe, share, and listen. And let's see how else can we help women around in the working space and in their professional careers. Thank you so much, and join me with Shirley Lee. Shirley Lee, welcome to Bold Works. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And let me start with one icebreaker. I usually ask women, can you describe yourself in 2 words?
Two words. I would say passionate and kind.
Oh, um, I do see the passion, and maybe that's also one of the anchors where I can start our conversation. So I know Shirley Lee, we are former colleagues. We used to work together, and when I started working with you, I asked you, what do you do? What did you study? Where have you been working? And so, Shirley, what do you do?
Currently, yeah. So I think when Fernanda met me a couple years ago, and also now, so that my role has always been the same, or how I define myself. So I am a experimentation specialist. In another name that's more common name, it's like a CRO strategist. So CRO is in conversion rate optimizations, but nowadays we call it experimentation. Yeah. Do you want a longer version of this, or this is yeah?
Well, maybe I can ask you a couple of questions, and
Mm,
we can get guided in the
mm.
storytelling. How did you started working doing this, and how did you get to know this industry or this sector?
Right. So a couple years ago, so I mean like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I used to work in a big four consultancy. And during there, I had a lot of chances to explore different projects that I wanted to do. So throughout the experience that I discover that I love, well, that I had a passion for marketing technology, data, insights, UX, and so on. And so during the time I was in Big Four, I knew consulting wasn't my thing, and also what I was at that, and then the project I was asked to do it that I didn't like it. So I was really trying to find out what will make me tick in my career, like what would make me feel, like very energetic every morning when I wake up to the job. So then I was doing a lot of research on LinkedIn, trying to find, okay, if I like this technology, data, I was trying to combine the different keywords. And
Yeah.
then I came to find this job. So we're talking about maybe what was it, like 2020 or 2021. So at that time, this job was called CRO
Yeah.
consultant or CRO specialist. So then I came to find out, oh, this job was at the junction of what I like, because it involves someone who knows about data and who knows about user research, who likes about building digital product, all that thing that I love in one. So then I thought, okay, if I could get this job, if I could get in this role, then that would be dream come true. And then from there, then I started my career journey and the way to get into that job. And once I get into the first company to do that role, then I continue to jump around different company to continue to sharpen my skills in CRO, or nowadays we call it experimentation.
And let me ask you a few questions here because you mentioned some relevant topics. So one is how the market is changing, right? So we
Mm.
used to be called this way, now we're called this other way.
Mhm.
It's it's a mix and match of different uh, backgrounds and different specialties, and then we mix them this way, and this is what we're bringing to the market. So that also reflects that the market is changing. So what you mentioned, technology, skills, needs from the market, offer from the market. um how do you see that, like from you being an active figure of these changes? So how do you
Mhm.
see it? Do you think it goes fast? Do you think it goes slow? Do you think it's coherent? Do you think we are taking longer to adapt roles? Because at the end it's about people, right? We are all people, so we need time to understand what is what we're doing,
Yeah,
and how, what's the value that we're bringing. So what do you think about
yeah,
that?
right. So I think coming back, yeah. So I think in the question, I think that I see two sub questions there. So one is with the different market demand or constant changes in the market, how do you adjust yourself? And how do you keep yourself employable? So I would say with our role, it's quite straightforward. It's a very specialized role. So what I do is that I do keep myself connected with other experimentation practitioner in the community, and then I also go to the relevant conferences. I also read relevant books and so on to keep myself knowledgeable and to keep myself sharp for this sector, and try to have as many use cases as possible at hand. Because what we cannot control is how the market or how the company is going to keep us or not keep us. Because there could be layoff due to the, like, I don't know, the business outcome being bad, or there could be maybe that they change their strategy, so last minute they need someone who can do CRO, who can do experiment. Maybe after next a quarter they decided to go a different direction, then you're out, which is also fine if you already have the skill set in mind, and if you always know this is what you want to do, then it doesn't matter how the company change or ask you to do different thing. This is what you want, then you will just know what you need to do next.
But that for me is one of the key questions that I have for you, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a quick jump in your timeline, because I recall that after we worked together, then you told me, Fernanda, I'm gonna stick to my plan. I want these type of jobs. And I asked you, yeah, but like, how are you gonna make it? Like, are you aware? And you were like, no, I am not sure, but I am sure that this is a path. Um, when were you that confident to decide, okay, this is what I am pursuing? Do you recognize a moment where you said like the decision was done that moment?
Yeah. I think by the time we met each other, by the time that we met each other, I already do this job, the CRO, the experimentation job
Yeah.
for at least 3 years, 2, 3 years. So at that moment, I already know this role makes me happy.
What were you doing before?
What was I doing before? I was in different. So when you and I met, we were in a agency. Before that, I was in another agency. And then I think before that I was in consulting firm, so which is they are all like from the agency side. So and
But a
what
more
was I?
corporate approach, right?
Yeah,
Then
so it could be either scale up. So the one before we met it was more scale up, and the one before that it was corporate. Doesn't matter, but because I think that my point here was more like because these are all like from agency roles, they are not client roles, so I also need to be very
yeah,
flexible in terms of what the client needs. And also with the agency role, you have less job security in terms of they that the in terms of the type of employment contract that you get. But I was always so sure this was, yeah. So sorry, I think going back to your question was more like because when I met you, it was not the first year that I do this job. So at that moment, and then before that point, before CRO, I also have another, I think 4 or 5 years in digital marketing. So at that moment, I already knew what makes me happy in a job, what doesn't make me happy in a job. And then so at that moment, I already think I really like this CRO
yeah.
slash experimentation job, not just because of the job itself, but also because of the people from our community. They're all very supportive. So I think all these things made me so sure like this will be the career that I want to go for. So if a company say no to me, for me, it's like, okay, I will move on and find other company that see the value of this role.
So
Yeah.
I am just like making a small recap in terms
Yeah.
of one angle. So
Yeah.
even though the market is constantly changing and that you have to adapt yourself and be flexible and keep your pace quite high in terms of like uh, researching, checking, understanding, questioning, keeping yourself up to date in that sense. So for some people, this might feel like a bit scary, right? Uncertain, but you
Mm-hmm.
see the right side of it. So you're in a constant, you're a seeker, you're constantly checking, okay, what's new, what's there, what can I do, how can I bring value? That's your approach.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you also mentioned a lot about community. So I think one of the things how we build credibility, it's like by an external validation, right? And like checking and iterating and so on. But I think community gives a lot of like credibility to new paths, yeah, new careers, new roles, new things. How is it in your case, like in the specific case of experimentation? What's the community feeling? Because my what I would love to understand is how can we extrapolate this to also women community, or maybe how women,
Oh,
yeah,
yes. I know what I mean. How so? Our community is what is it? So basically, experimentation community means the people who are doing experimentation or doing this data insights or data analytics thing in their, yeah, in their role, either being in a corporate or in an in-house or freelancer and so on. So I think in the whole world, maybe I would say now should have maybe thousands of us. And I think most of us, we share like one value, which is like very open-minded and collaborative. So we all see, okay, what kind of struggle we might have in our own role, which might be, we had to emphasize our value or all those different challenges. And then people from my community, we don't really compete in a negative way, but more like that we try to share what we know, the knowledge or templates, the resources with the other people, because I think that we believe, it's more like a synergy thing. So we
Yeah.
believe if I myself thrive, then and then we help people to thrive, it will in a way also help us back to thrive, because then we manage to keep this um, that we manage to keep our role still going in the
Yeah.
market, so that more and more people can get hired with this role. And then so we have some goat. So goat is like the really um, long-standing practitioner who maybe has run her, I don't
Got
know,
it.
run the first A/B testing like 20 years ago, like this person and some other goats, they are all trying to really organize some events and conferences to really share their knowledge with younger generation to keep
Oh,
it
that's super
going.
cool.
So yeah, so currently, yeah, I think, yeah, and then I think we have more male than female, but regardless of the gender, I think everyone is all super nice. Like we all have good intention toward each other, and we just want to help and share.
Um, I think it's really nice whenever you see, or at least from
Mm.
my point of view, whenever you see like a path or a role, like a career that's been, uh, yeah, I have the word in Spanish, but I don't have the word in English. Like a community is like giving support
Yeah,
and in
support
guiding
you.
and yeah, something
Yeah,
like this. So I think
yeah.
that's really nice to see. I miss one thing in the story, and it is where are you from and where do you live?
Right. I am from Taiwan, and I currently live in Amsterdam. And so I have lived in Amsterdam for almost, I think, 9, 10 years. Yeah, but my heritage is in Taiwan, so I speak Mandarin. So I sometimes go back to Taiwan to visit friends and family. But now my whole life now I am based in Amsterdam.
Yeah. And how was the journey also like in terms of your cultural background? So we were discussing about how you started in this specific role. Like I think your background comes from consultancy and digital marketing and Uh, then we discuss about how the market behaves, how you have to adapt, how one of the resources is community and all of the different tooling that comes and the values that also like community brings to the table. Now, what about you and your background? And do you think like there was something within your background or also like maybe your gender? Do you think that you needed like to justify all of this uh, like more niche decision making process to people around you because of your background of because being a woman?
Um, I would say with the Netherlands or with the current company that I work at, it's like a UK company. I don't feel, and also with my role, meaning that I work with people from the tech or data people. I think with these conditions, I don't feel like I need to change a lot of who I am in terms of my gender or like in terms of the cultural background. I mean, yes. So if you work in Dutch company, you have a lot of Dutch people around you, British, and you have a lot of Brit. But it's like, first of all, yeah, so I think the company that I choose to work at, I make sure they are diversity, meaning they hire international people. And secondly is that they are open or they're curious about, people from different culture or with the Dutch company is like I need to work in a English speaking environment. So I don't know how many of your audiences are from, but just to give you some context, it's like not every company in the Netherlands they are English speaking. You know, like some people like they all speak great English, but in some company they prefer to localize and just speak Dutch. So I
Yeah.
don't go with those companies. So then I go with a company that speaks English, which means that already showing some way they are open minded. Yeah, and then do I need to adapt? I would say I am quite fortunate that I don't need to adapt too much. But I think also another thing with my life mantra is that I've always want to be authentic. So that means if I am in a environment where I feel like I need to change a lot about myself, or I need to change my values, or I always need to think twice before I say something, then it's not for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I really love the phrase that you just used, which is like the company that I choose to work for or with. So I think that nowadays we are also like deciding how the market should behave a bit. We are
Mm,
trying to be much more selective.
yeah.
Um, all of the things that you just mentioned. So how aligned are these companies to my values? How aligned are the products that they are providing, the type of people they are hiring? One of the things that I wanted to ask you is working in experimentation and IT, which is like your niche. Um, of course, everyone is preaching about like, oh, you have to fail to learn, you have
Yeah.
to, invest on those things.
Mm,
But I remember that not all companies really hire that way.
yeah.
They don't pay that way, they don't charge clients that way. So
Mm.
what do you think? Like, do you think that they are being coherent with what they are preaching, or not everyone is doing it, or more are doing it?
I think yeah, I could imagine what you're saying. So I think what you're asking is because I think in the principles of experimentation is that you first of all test before you ship, or that you first or failing is okay because failing meaning that you learn something and then you go ahead. Yeah, I would say it's easier for in-house role because then you can get to choose the organization. So before you work for the company, you already know whether they adopt this growth mindset
Exactly.
approach. Whereas if you work in agency, you are exposed to different company, different type of clients. Some client they are open to testing. They feel like they are openly willingly to learn about the test results was not what they had hoped for, whereas in other company maybe they are more conservative on that. So yeah, so I would say like that. Yeah.
So just like the recap is, there are some like subsectors of the industry that are more open and that they behave that way. There are some of like, if you see experimentation as a service, then it's a bit more challenging because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, got it. um you mentioned also something really nice, which is my mantra in life is this one. This is what I want to do. So it's about being authentic and identifying what makes sense and what resonates with me, and that's where I'm going to invest my energy. Those things are, I think, ways of living and deciding. Do you recall when you adopted those, how you adopt those like values in terms of how do you live your life?
As well, yeah. Sorry, I just want to add one more thing. So I think so I would say one tip is that, or maybe to add some more context, I think one reason that I feel like I can freely be myself is also because I have a Dutch residency here. So that makes so because I could imagine some of your listener maybe they need like like the visa sponsorship to work in another country. So then sometimes then they will need to find a balance between finding a job in time, or whether this company or this job ticks all the criteria. So there could be a differences here. But then, yeah, and then coming back to your question, like, am I also like trying to be myself or stay authentic in my real life? Yes, for sure. I think it's even more than me at work, because me at work is like you still need to, fit it, like in some way trying to adapt to the company culture. But in my personal life, because then that I always try to create my own culture. And then, yeah, so if people that also share this vibe or share these values, they will stay in my world, and then people who don't, then maybe just like a passerby, which is also fine, but yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And how do you because of course, like, people, you share your story, you go, you meet people, and people will have an opinion about what you're doing. How do you protect yourself from these things? Because it's always, I let me give you a bit of a context from my side. Currently I am in between jobs, and I am deciding what I want to do and how do I spend. And in the meantime, I am like studying Dutch, and I have to do a few exams here and there. But everyone has an opinion, so whenever they ask me, like, are you working, and I'm like, no, I'm not working, then everyone is like, oh, don't worry, you will get a job. And I'm like, well, do you? So for me, that's also fine. I don't judge anyone, and I'm like, oh, okay, I just keep the conversation going. But how was it for you, like, throughout, like, your entire career?
You mean whether I ever get judged or judge people when I'm
Exactly, when it
unemployed?
comes to experimentation, because I'm not sure even if everyone around you understands what you do.
Yeah, okay. Well, so yes, so there was a time where I think I was unemployed for, I don't know, a year or something like that. But then, and then, yes, you will get different voices, right? You will get voices. Sorry. It's like, let's say when you're unemployed for 12 months, right? First 3 months, everyone was saying, oh, it's okay. You'll find something great. I have worked with you before. You're amazing. So everyone will be super, like, cheerful, whatever. And then 3 to 6 months, it depends. Like maybe you lose 10%, 20% of you. Yeah. So I think I also got some judgment maybe from my family who, well, I know they came from a good intention. They just want to make sure that, have a stable income and so on. And also because they are from more Asian background. So they are more like, maybe have less financial security mindset in mind. So for me, they're like, why are you being so picky? Just pick a job and work on there first and so on, right? And then, yeah, because I remember doing that one year when I was unemployed. I still went to do scuba diving or went to learn like paddle and so on. So with my family, they don't get it. They're like, yeah, and now you are unemployed. Shouldn't you been saving money? Why are you now traveling and stuff? Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you are ready for something that you deserve. So what I meant by that is that I had, when I started my job search, I made a list of the dream company or the dream job going to look like. So there is a must have, and there is a bonus point, like good to have but not mandatory.
Yeah.
So when I write it down, I reinforce it in my mind, like what type of manager, what type of, resources or the company culture that I want. So then I go with it. So I think during that time, the unemployment time, I did have several offer, but I had some, but I just didn't feel good. Like I just felt something didn't click.
Yeah.
So then at the end, I decided to trust my own gut, and I trust, like, okay, there is a better job out there for me. So then I just waited, and no one knows whether
Sure.
you are gonna get better offer than this or not. But sometimes you just have to trust yourself. And I think, I'm not saying for anyone this is going to work, but I think I
Of
am.
course.
I think I was ready. So at that moment, I already been through a couple of challenges in my career. And then I feel like at work, I already tried to meet some of the achievement. I already conquered some of the challenges. So at that moment, I felt like I was ready. Yeah.
No, I fully agree, and that's not the idea or the speech behind it. I would never advise people to just drop everything around you and just follow your dream. Everyone has a different story, a different background.
Yeah.
You respond to different expectations. You have different standards. I think it's really different. But I think whenever you see someone that where you can mirror a bit maybe your own situation, then you can also think like, oh, okay, then she did it this way, right? That's the main idea. um because I also at the end, even though we don't have really similar paths in terms of like backgrounds,
Mm,
because I'm Mexican and you're from Taiwan, and I had do more operations and you do more experimentation,
mm,
if I can really relate to this, because I can just like make sure that every time that I feel being challenged by someone asking me why you are not searching for a job as in now, I can think like, no, I know what I'm doing, so it's gonna be fine. Don't worry.
yeah. And then I think in terms of the financial thing as well. So
Yeah.
I think at the end of my job search, I only have 1 or 2 more months to live in my bank account. But then I was like, you know what? Like, it's like when you don't have so many things to lose, you just keep going. Yeah, but again, it's not like I advise everyone to do that. I think it's really case by case. But I think sometimes, like, there are something financial stress or something that might hold you back. But I think sometimes you just need to lay your trusts into something, or yeah.
And for instance, one really nice advice, if I could like transform your own path into like a, maybe an advice to someone, is write down the type of company with the must-haves and the nice-to-haves.
Hmm.
And maybe you are not going to start your search now, but you have that as the north star of like, okay, I really want to have that. I really deserve that. I am working towards that. And it's going to be like a constant reminder in every single decision that you take.
Mm, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's someone out there that listens to this conversation, and or for everyone, maybe like younger generations, that they are deciding like, okay, which type of that they feel like they're in your same decision, like either they go with the type of role and sector and industry that makes them feel super happy and excited, but it's unknown, it's a bit gray areas, there are no clear career growth paths in companies, so you have to create them while you are there. What would you tell them uh, if this is their case?
That's a good question. I think it depends. So I think first of all is if you already have a job, then it's to understand. Well, I think if you already have a job, and then it's more about how you can connect with your colleagues or manager to find opportunity for you. So, for instance, in my job, it's about driving growth for the business, right? So then in my job, what I do is I could connect with a manager and to understand what's their business prioritization, what's their business problem they would like to use the data to answer. Then based on that, I can pitch myself about, oh, how experiment could help or how doing user research could help. That's one. And if you are currently looking for a job, um, it depends. So if you're so let's say if you're I think let's say if I am currently looking for a job in experimentation in CRO, I would see what's the trend in terms of B2B or B2C, and then see how I can fit into that. And so with this, sometimes so I would stay flexible with this. I mean, well, again, I think for everyone, what they put down on their mandatory criteria could be different. But I recall like during my 1 year job research, I used to be like have a huge preference on e-commerce or B2C over B2B. But then over time, I became flexible because I also realized in terms of the financial situation, I might get to have more. reward or better financial or better job security if I stay at B2B.
Yeah.
Also with my current company, it is a B2B e-commerce. So then I don't know, I was doing some research on LinkedIn, and then also I was talking to people from my community to understand what's the latest landscape for our roles, because maybe some people will say, yeah, there are more jobs for in-house role, or some people will say, yeah, nowadays maybe more in freelancer, and then maybe in e-commerce compared to non e-commerce one or something like that. So I think networking, community, and LinkedIn, yeah, search if you are unemployed. Yeah,
Yeah, I think at the end, what it's really relevant is to one, understanding how do you bring value to your different stakeholders and how can you serve
yeah,
the business that where you are. And the other one is never forget about having a bigger picture of how the
mhm,
trend is looking like,
yeah,
right? Like, because at the end, everyone is this type of uh, volatile environments. I think they constantly adapt and change. So if you just like look at your own single space, then you might get lost, and then your decision making process will be, of course, biased.
yeah.
And Shirley, thank you so much. I think I'm gonna ask you one last thing, because I invited someone once, and then I assumed everyone was quite clear on like, oh, what do you do? Oh, and then it was a bit more
Yeah.
like a technical role.
Mhm.
Maybe you can help us in a super simple way to understand what is what you do and how does this impact customers, because I think it's also really nice what you do.
Okay, so basically what I do is I help the business to make data driven decisions by running experiments such as A/B tests or through user research.
Thank you so much. I hope this is clear for everyone, and if not, like we can like answer for other questions about that.
Mm.
um Shirley, thank you so much for sharing your own story and your angles when it comes to industries that are changing, how to create your own career, how to create your own credibility, how to build yourself to make sure that you can be resilient with what the environment is bringing when it comes to like a professional careers, but also as a woman.
Thank you so much for having me here. Have fun.
No, I am super happy.
Yay.
And see you soon, Shirley.
Yay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. There were so many things that resonated with me about Shirley's experience. From one side, I find relevant and crucial to define that great place for you to work. The values, the type of team, the type of management style that you're searching for. So I invite you just to do that exercise. I think that will help uh, to understand where to search, what to search, where, who to ask. That's also a really good topic. Shirley mentioned a lot about going out, checking community activities related to these topics that really interest you. Go out, be curious, check around, ask, and pivot ideas. That's one relevant thing. The other one is take care of your energy whenever you are in this transition moment, or if you are in the search of figuring out answers for yourself. Be really careful, listen, be open, but also be really cautious on how and who is telling you things. um, Again, we know that everyone is doing it from their best intention, but at the end you can evaluate, reassess, and from your own point of view and criteria, figure out if that piece of advice is relevant for you in this moment in time. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week, and don't forget to subscribe, listen, and comment. If you have any ideas of specific topics you would like to discuss, please write them down, send me a message, And I'm sure I will find an amazing woman that can help us to figure things out together. See you next week. Bye bye.